she wrote home to her mum a little letter that said, the man I want to marry. And I want you to listen very carefully to this, because you'll see how many of the traits she was looking for in those days at the age of 10 she has found in this wonderful husband. The comparison is unbelievably opposite. Dearest Mum, the man I want to marry a man who is not stupid and is quite down to earth. Well, probably he does occasionally come down to earth. It will not really matter if he is handsome. That's lucky. But it would be nice. He must not be too lazy, as I would get very annoyed if he was just to get under my feet all day. He must also not be against me being a doctor, early career move, or something like that. It would be nice if he was a farmer. Now, I think it takes after all her relations. Because I would enjoy helping with animals. I have enough practice. We had a lot of ducks and brothers. He must like children and be willing to be able to babysit. Now and again when I am away or on call. You see, the doctor thing was coming through. He must also like dogs, because I love them. If he had a sheepdog, it could help him in the fields with the sheep. There's a lot of wellies around. He must also... Her writing is not good. He must also have quite a good voice, because it is very hard to keep a straight face if in church someone is singing very loudly, but out of tune. It is also embarrassing, as I have to put up with it from my father. I thought I had a very good voice, but obviously I slipped up. I would not mind if he was not rich. Well, that's lucky. But it could be nice if he had a bit of money so he could furnish our house nicely. I would not like him to be a fashion designer because I have quite a funny sense of fashion. I do not also want to marry a cook. I would like to be able to make wrong ingredients without him knowing. There we are. He would be the kind of boss of the house in a way that he would carve the Sunday lunch. If a tree fell down and blocked the drive, he would go down and take it away. That was after the storm in '87. She remembered I had to do the same thing. I would like him to be maybe a few years older than me. He must like my parents, but this is the important bit, and my brothers if it is possible. So she obviously wasn't getting on too well with her brothers even then. It would be nice if he was quite romantic, as I would feel awful if he did not send me a card or something on February the 14th. I think Ed measures up pretty well to all that. Farming, dog, sheep, cattle. But anyway, that was what she was looking for. You can see what she found. A wonderful, wonderful chap, wonderful husband, and we're very proud, Ed, to welcome you into our big family, as you can see. We're outnumbered by the Mottrams, but we're growing. Cheers. To very good health. To Lizzie and to Ed. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gents, big round of applause please for your groom, Mr. Ed Mottram.
Carry on. Thank you, Robert, for those kind words. For the past couple of weeks I've been waking up in cold sweats about this moment. I tried to speech out at 3 AM on yet another sleepless night in New York. I wandered down to the park and I spoke to a flight of pigeons and a couple of drunks. One of them was kind enough to coo that he was drunk. All the pigeons flew away, so I don't really know how this is going to go. But the sleepless nights have been due to the nerves and excitement of today and the anticipation of what was to come. But I needn't have worried, because today is and has been absolutely brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great deal of joy and pride that I introduce my wife, Lizzie Watford. Today is beyond a shadow of a doubt the happiest day. From the moment I woke up to the wonderful church service, to standing here in front of you all now, and the prospect of having a party with you lot later. It's been absolutely brilliant. We've both been shown a huge amount of support and love by everyone in this room. And as groom, it's my duty and honour to say thank you for making an effort to be here today. It was a cold winter's night when I first laid eyes on this beautiful girl. Lizzie and I met just before Christmas in 2008. After some great matchmaking. And I must stop here and say thank you to Danda, without whose gentle nudging none of us would be here today. Met Lizzie in the London pub and we talked the night away. There was a kebab in there somewhere, I don't know what the vicar was talking about, but I think that was later on. But then she did say good morning as well, so I don't really know. She's mad. No, Lizzie didn't say, the vicar said good morning. That first night, I did get on the bus. Shall I stop digging? Okay, anyway. Oh, God. Anyway, always smiling and laughing. I was captivated immediately. It's taken me a good long time to realise that she's often laughing and smiling at me rather than with me. But all the same, I was smitten. Soon after that, I got to meet the rest of Lizzie's family in the kitchen just over there. I especially remember meeting Jim for the first time. He came downstairs into the kitchen and fell over. Recognising a fellow beer aficionado, I liked him immediately. I remember our first conversation after he got up. Hi Jim, it's very nice to meet you, I'm Ed. Ed, you're a pilot, right? Yes, that's right, yeah. So what happens if you're at 35,000 feet and the wings fall off? Well, I imagine you come down quite quickly. That's what I thought. And then he passed out. But I knew Lizzie was the one. We're not 100% sure as to who wears the trousers in this relationship. And I'm sure that'll become clear over the next few weeks and months. And I'm going to say this before my brother does. She does wear the running shoes. Yes, she smashed me over the marathon. Yes, I was beaten by a girl. Luckily though, I'm not the competitive type. And me trying to get into every other marathon since has got nothing whatsoever to do with trying to redress the balance. But Lizzie, you look absolutely gorgeous today. You've made me the proudest man on the planet. Today is a landmark day, an exciting springboard for the rest of our lives together, and I can't wait. You're my best friend. I love you. Thank you for being my wife. Finally, as tradition has it, I'd like to say thank you to the wonderful bridesmaids. Ricky, Emily and Tor, you look absolutely fantastic coming down the aisle today. And not a Hawaiian in sight. I know how important you are to Lizzie. She talks about you incessantly. And with good reason, because you've been there through the tough times and the good, and I thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding and join me in a toast. The wonderful bridesmaids.
Yep. Wonderful bridesmaids.
I'm now passing over to Patrick as the best of men. I know it's tough to see a resemblance, but for those of you who don't know, he's my brother. My little brother. When I asked her to be my best man, he replied, "Ed, that's great, but being asked to do a speech after all this time on a bicycle is a bit like being asked to make love to Camilla Parker Bowles. It's a great honour, but no one really wants to do it." Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the best man.
Good evening. A few people have actually asked me today if I'm the groom's older brother, and I've been racking my brains as to why. Okay, I am taller, as you can see, more mature. Well, if you know Ed any bit, then you'll understand that's not really hard. But I don't think that's it. The only thing I've really come up with is that I myself got married 3 months ago. And I'm guessing it really is showing at the moment. So, I love you though. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honour for me to play the important role of best man, considering as growing up together and being 5 years his junior, I did nothing but get on his nerves, as any younger brother should. I had my uses though, when it came to Ed's sporting practice. For example, when I was about 8 years old, he'd build a ramp in the garden and get me to lie down next to it. There wasn't any option in this. And jump over me on his BMX. Well, tried to anyway. And also, being quite tall and skinny, I made for a good flagpole apparently to aim his golf shots at. Safe to say, I wasn't the brightest child growing up. Ed excelled at school, both in the classroom and on the sports field. His enthusiasm for playing female roles in the school play was thankfully a gene that we do not share. After school, Ed went to Edinburgh University to study the bizarre combination of French and Arabic. As you'll guess, it's not the usual requirements for British Airways, but nevertheless, they saw something in him, and for the last 10 years he's been flying jets all over the world, quite literally living the high life. And I've been told though that I spoke to a couple of his colleagues on the training course, and they told me that he had a real severe trouble actually landing the planes when he was learning. And I really couldn't, and he really couldn't understand why. Because to him, the runways were always far too short, but incredibly wide. I have to say, after hearing the Vicar of Dibley's joke earlier on, I think I chose the worst of the two airline jokes. I think, on a true note, I did actually enjoy the pleasure of going flying with Ed about 6 years ago when we hired a light aircraft in Atlanta, Georgia. And Ed almost ended up in a cornfield, or we almost ended up in a cornfield, when Ed misjudged, or in his words, perfectly judged, the landing distance, and we came to a halt just inches before the end of the tarmac. Luckily, I think he's got a bit better since then, so if you hear his name from the cockpit, don't be too concerned. Fingers crossed.